If you think my mom is the creepiest person you've heard about so far, I've got some very unfortunate news for you.
If you thought crazy stuff only happened to me when my family was around, you'd be sorely mistaken. I've always been a magnet for crazy, especially during the school years.
One situation that I was constantly in college was explaining to international students, especially Asian international students, what people who take Asian studies are like. Not everyone who takes Asian studies is like me and genuinely wants to learn. There's pretty much 3 or 4 subcategories of why someone would take Asian studies. Now, there's a very small handful of people like me who take it because they genuinely want to learn about the culture and the languages and what have you. That's probably the smallest minority by far. And then there are people, there's this one guy at college, he took Japanese class every semester, and he would drop it 2 weeks in, but he took Japanese class every semester like it was his fucking job. And there are people like that who are like, yeah, I'm gonna get into this, and then they're like, wow, this is way too fucking hard, I'm out, later. But they don't move on, they just keep trying. Normally, people, when they realize, the 4th semester in, that this is something that they're not going to be able to learn, they just stop trying. It's kind of like me. I can't really say that that's what happened for everyone because I took Calc 1 3 times and I had to drop it each time, but I kept trying. You just gotta get back up on that horse, that language horse. But no, some things people just aren't good at. Like math. With me, I can't do math for shit. It doesn't matter how many people are helping me. Still don't know what the hell is going on. Unless it's physics-based. If it's physics-based, I don't have too much of a problem. But the vast majority of students who pick Asian studies as a major pick it based on one thing. They want to date an Asian. Now, having to explain this to actual Asians from Asia who had come for study abroad, it's very interesting because most of the people who are in that vast majority are they're the creepiest people of all. But you that doesn't come across at first because they've never met an American before. They don't know how creepy they can be when, they want that fetish. They want in that fetish booty. And having to explain this every semester, it's such an uphill battle because you're like, all right, I'm gonna tell you something. Pretty much everyone in this program wants to date you. And hearing that, without any context or anything, international students usually hear what goes in is, I have all these choices. Everyone wants to date me. But no, that's not good. You do not want these people. They are creepy as shit. I know. I spent a lot of time with them. We had one of our friends really wanted some of that Asian booty, so she was playing a drinking game and she lost. And her punishment was that she had to sleep handcuffed to one of the Asians. And she thought it was going to be wonderful. However, that Asian does not particularly like her in any capacity. Not even just oh, I don't want to date her. No, he didn't like her at all, as a person. And she woke up the next morning. They went to bed. He was like, oh, come on, please. And they went into the room, and the next morning, she went in all happy. She did not come out all happy. Apparently, he punches and kicks in his sleep, and he gave her a black eye. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. She thought she was gonna have a wonderful night sleeping with a cute guy, and instead he was like, "Bah, get the fuck out of the bed." And then you have people who are just awful human beings in general. I had this one guy when I was in Japanese class. He was in my Japanese class, and he'd been dating this girl for 2-3 years. And she was also really into Japan and Japanese culture and what have you. So it seemed like a good fit. They were both, weeaboos together. And then he went off on study abroad, and a week before he left, she was like, so how's this gonna work? I've never done long distance before. And he just turned to her and he was like, what do you mean, how's this gonna work? I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna get real Asians. What? Why are human beings awful? This and the fact that, UK left the EU, it's kind of this just goes to show that aliens will never visit us because they know we're shit carbon-based life forms. Like, we're just shitty life forms. And a lot, sometimes you get lucky and someone doesn't fit into those three categories, one of those three categories when they're in Asian studies. Sometimes you get lucky, but not very often. Now, even to this day, when I explain to someone that I was Asian studies, I visibly recoil because I'm expecting them to assume that I fell into the 99% category of I'm taking this course of study so that I can find my Asian woman, which is very, very weird. And no. Besides, everyone knows if a white guy is gonna date an Asian lady, he has to be a useless white man because they must marry a useless white man. You gotta be chubby and serve no purpose and not know how to do anything. And apparently I'm not useless enough, so whatevs. I'm going to tell you about the highest level creeper I've ever met in my entire life. This guy is like level 9 creeper. Like, he is way more creepy than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. And I know some creepers. This guy, what really bugs me about him though is not like it doesn't bother me as much that he's like a super creep. What bothers me the most is that people in positions of authority at the school love him because he has a great work ethic. And they'll come up to you and they'll talk to you about him and they'll like sing his praises. And I'm like, nah, I don't care how good he is working in the office if he's a shit person in general. Like, this guy is so creepy that when the international office would do field trips, I would get invited on field trips by the international students to make them feel safe. That's how creepy this guy is. Like, when you have to ask someone else to come with you because you do not feel comfortable with the people in positions of authority, something is wrong and you should notice it. So I hate when I would go to like an event for Asian studies or international office, the fact that they come over and tell me how wonderful this guy is. I'm like, bull fucking shit! Bullshit! And they'd always be like, I don't understand why you don't like him. Are you blind? I don't understand. Are you blind? No. Besides the faculty loving him, this guy, he will only talk to you if you're an Asian girl. He has to know that you're single beforehand, and he'll talk to you until he finds out what ethnicity you are. And sometimes it just so happens that he discovers that you're not single, and he'll just walk away. Like, mid-conversation, stops, walks away. And I'm like, what? How has the faculty never noticed him do this? I've seen him do it on multiple occasions. And other times, he'll like probe a little bit and find out you're single. He'll be like, yeah. And he'll be having a conversation with you and get real close to your face because he's a close face talker. And, I will say though, he's not a mouth breather. He does have that going for him. When that's like your criteria for good things, not a mouth breather, something is very wrong. Something is very wrong. This guy, I've seen him have conversations with people that he thought was Japanese, that he thought were Japanese. Like, girls will be talking to them, he'll know they're single, start talking to them. And then they'll say, I'm not Japanese, or like, they'll make mention that they're Chinese. And mid-fucking sentence, he'll just turn off, like pivot on his foot and walk away. What? This is why aliens don't want to visit us, because people like him exist. And I just want to throw in there, if he's the level 999 creeper, I had a friend, this is totally true. We had another Japanese friend. She's a really pretty girl. And we had to eat lunch with her one day when we were coming downstairs, and she sees one of the other Japanese kids going into the computer lab from the dining hall. And it's like me, I think 2 other Americans, and a bunch of Japanese kids, maybe a couple Chinese kids too, because I was always with Chinese kids, just a thing. So we're leaving the dining hall, there's a bunch of us in the group. One Japanese girl that was not eating with us, we see her leave the dining hall and she goes to the computer lab. This Japanese girl that's with us, who's really pretty by the way, and it has an awesome personality on top of that. we're walking, and she sees the girl go into the computer lab, and we're walking, and she's like sort of in the center of our group, and she whispers something, and what she whispers is, and for those of you that don't speak Japanese, that's some goddamn supervillain shit. She said, I want that body. But not like, because it was whispered and it was spoken slowly, it wasn't like, man, I wish I had that body. It was more like, I'm gonna take that body and I'm gonna live in it. And like me and the other Japanese kids in our group, we like stopped where we were and we turned real slow to look at her and we're like, the fuck? What the fuck? Ah. But now, back on track with the level 9 creeper. Okay, I'll tell you a story. So I used to be president of a Japanese club on campus. It wasn't like a job I went looking for. It just happened to fall into my lap because no one else would do it. And apparently, I was the most fun Japanese club president. I just didn't arrange field trips that often. And that's my falling apart point, because I didn't want to go to the office and have to talk to level 9 creeper because one of the events I had was picture day, and I only held picture day once because I never wanted it to happen again after the first time. So we had picture day, right? And it was a day where the Japanese students who were in Japanese club would come, they'd bring pictures from home, and people who had visited or studied abroad in Japan also brought their pictures. It's like, I had pictures from high school, or like I saw some mascots, brought in pictures of that. I went to the Ghibli Museum, so I brought in pictures of that. Other people were like, yeah, I hung out in Hiroshima or whatever. Miyajima is also super pretty. If anyone gets the option, go see Miyajima. It's really beautiful. I don't think it's like on a usual tour of Japan if you're going, but it's a really beautiful place, especially when the fog rolls in, and it just looks like you're living in a video game. Like it's beautiful. But anyway, back on track. People brought in normal photo albums, and then level 9 creeper comes in, and he pulls out a photo album, and we're like, oh, okay. I think he'd spent over a year in Japan at that point in his life. And we were like, all right, cool, you got a lot of pictures. So he opens up the book. It's not normal. Like, it's not sightseeing photos. It's not pictures of him with his friends. I honestly don't think he has very many friends. He's kind of a dirtbag. But he opens it, and it's got, like, pictures of houses on the page. And then, like, the best I can describe them, under the picture of the house was like a dossier on a person. Like he was a fucking secret agent and this was his kill book or something. And we're like, what is this? And he comes over, he looks all smug and proud, he comes over and he starts to explain to us what this book is. This man, for picture day, brought in a photo album full of pictures of houses and or dorms that girls lived in that he knew. And then he wrote down what girl lived there, where she lived in the house, and at what times of day he could find them at their houses. This is what he brought into picture day. His stalker notebook. It's a scrapbook of fucking stalking. And that's what he was fucking proud of it too. And I'm like, how could the faculty hire you for anything? You are the creepiest motherfucker on the planet. How could you possibly bring in your scrapbook of stalking? I'm spitting all over the screen. I'm sorry. But how could you bring in your scrapbook of stalking and be proud of it? What the fuck? What is wrong with you?
Hey there, guys and gals. I hope you're enjoying Season 2 of On Fairy Tales, The School Years. As always, you can click the link on the left to see the previous episode, or you can click the link on the right to see the playlist where you can see all the episodes so far. Speaking of all those hot bods out there, why don't we talk about the two hottest suites on campus?
swear to fucking God, every time I film one of these, I just have a burping fit right in the center. Just